Got it. Okay, go ahead and turn off. Yes, there you go. Hi, guys. Hello. Welcome to this pledge drive at Americans for Homeopathy Choice. I am so excited to be with you guys today. Very thankful for all the hard work that goes into every one of these pledge drives. We have an amazing team at Americans for Homeopathy Choice. Okay, guys, full disclosure. I am sick with a fever today. This is the magic of makeup. And I'm here, and this is a t-shirt, and this is the best I could do. Usually I try and get good lighting and everything spruced up, but I'm just seriously in all kinds of aches and pain. So don't worry, I am taking my remedies. Yeah, so let's jump into this. Today we are kicking off our fall 2023 pledge drive. And the name of this pledge drive is Homeopathy Reboot, Nurturing Health Naturally from Farm to Congress. And so today we are presenting one of our beloved speakers. But before we get started, it is a pledge drive, and our goal is to fundraise to $45,000. We'd be so thankful if you could please support us. This is a critical time in homeopathy history. There's a lot going on that needs donations for. We're actually going to be talking more about that throughout this week, especially when we talk to Laura Held and Kathy Diaz. But today is not that day. Today we are going to be talking to Sue Meyer, but a big thank you to our sponsors, Miranda Castro, Homeopathy Center of Houston, National Center for Homeopathy, Karen Allen, American Academy of Clinical Homeopathy, Texas Society of Homeopaths, Council for Homeopathic Certification, Florida Homeopathic Society, International Academy of Classical Homeopathy. And so, yeah, thank you so much for being our wonderful sponsors. Today's sponsor is the Texas Society of Homeopathy. I love you guys. Thank you for your support. And also the National Center for Homeopathy. And every day during the pledge drive, we like to do a raffle prize for anyone that has donated up until now, because some people might have already donated. And then through the first day, you are entering yourself to win this wonderful prize. That's what I need. I actually need this one. So Sue is going to be talking about rebooting your health after environmental toxins. And so we have some great remedies that can be good for, those kinds of scenarios. We have Epsom salts, which is a great detoxer, but that's what I want because I'm so achy. Anyways, it's not about me. And then we have also your make your own emergency kit. We have magnesium flakes, an air purifier, and then a Homeopathy for Life t-shirt. This is donated by Americans for Homeopathy Choice. And then we also like to let you guys know that in our shop right now, we have a coupon during the pledge drive, and you get 10% off of everything. And the coupon is Reboot 2023. And then what we also do is we like to feature an item, and that is our Homeopathy Choice kit. This is an emergency kit. And what we do is we actually give you a tin to put all your remedies in. And then we give you a second tin that has empty vials, and you can pour half of the pellets into the empty vials. And then you get 2 kits out of 1. So it's really great, economical for you to be able to kind of give your kids their little emergency kits. Okay, so this is our lineup for the week. We have Sue Meyer today. We're going to be talking about rebooting your health after environmental toxins. And tomorrow we're going to get my friend Miranda Castro. My other friend Brenda Placencia is on Wednesday. Laura and Kathy is on Thursday. And then Pat, for all the way from Ireland, is coming this Friday. Really fun lineup of speakers. I'm very excited to be having them. But let me introduce you guys Sue. Sue is a wife and a homeschool mother of 11. She and her husband Ron, they currently have 45 grandchildren, whom they dearly enjoy spending time with on a regular basis. She spends most of her free time in the study of natural medicine, with her main focus being on proper nutrition, essential oils, and classical homeopathy. So she has a diploma in naturopathy, and she's also certified classical homeopath through the CCH, the Council of Homeopathic Certification. So that's what her CCH is after her name. She's also completed her training in craniosacral myofascial dynamic body balancing therapy. She's the author of Homeopathy for Mommy's Family Guide for Acute Use of Homeopathy. And she recently published a new book for the advanced home user called Homeopathy Beyond Acute Care. So she hosts a podcast. It's really awesome. I love her podcast. It's homeopathyformommiesradios.com. that has over 500,000 downloads to date. And she loves to travel to meet the families, and she's really the families who are striving to learn the art of homeopathy and natural medicine. She believes that it is from within the family that natural healthcare will once again emerge as a primary form of treatment for good health. Okay, so without further ado, go ahead and turn on your camera, Sue. Okay, now I'm already exhausted.
That was a mouthful.
Well, it's just, I'm not feeling super great, but
I
maybe,
know.
well, she, don't worry, guys. Sue has told me to probably take Eupatorium. Which would be excellent. So,
And Michelle, she said the same thing. She said that's her family. That's what she gave her family too. And that really helped. So it's an amazing remedy for those deep bone pains and fever.
yes. Oh, my hips are like killing me. Or maybe
Oh.
Brian. So Sue, let's talk about environmental toxins. This is something that I constantly stress about, and then I just don't know what to do. So then I don't do it.
Right. Well, actually, it's kind of funny because I had talked about environmental toxins a while back. And so Joy sent me a link to my podcast because I never listened to my stuff, and I was listening to it. I'm like, oh, that's right. I actually am a certified drift catcher as well, because I know a lot about environmental toxins because I used to.
What is a drift catcher? What?
I know. It's just a unit that you set up, and it's very portable, and you take it and you set it up in different areas to test the air. And so there'll be 3 vials. You'll have 2 vials on the unit that every 24 hours, you'll change the vials. And so you always have a tracker tube. And then you have the tube that's every few minutes, it'll suck in new air and it'll take in environmental toxins. So then you can send it in and you can get a reading and so on and so forth. So I've been fighting environmental toxins for a really, really long time. And, it's amazing how dangerous they actually are. We're not even aware of what's out there. But of course we have our packaging as well. Back in the good old days, people just, killed it and ate it, or picked it and ate it, or they stored things in glass. And today we store it in plastic and aluminum foil and all sorts of things. So there is just environmental toxins everywhere. And not to mention the fact that a lot of us don't have access to really good water. A lot of us buy our water, or we're drinking RO water, which isn't fortified with good minerals. And so we're
drinking our well water. Is that what you said?
I said we're drinking RO water.
Oh, reverse osmosis.
Yes. And then it's not being refortified with minerals, because water needs to be alive with minerals in order for our bodies to uptake the goodness.
And so I was thinking about like well water. Well water isn't necessarily great either because of what's happening to the ground soil. And
I know, but you can always have that tested though. I mean, you really can. And there's different ways you can pour, food grade hydrogen peroxide down the well. And that'll help a lot for, in the immediate area if you do that periodically, it does help. But at the same time, yes, they're draining our groundwater with all the irrigating and things like that that's going on. And so, yes, I know it's just it's not good news. Let's put it that way. Fact is, I took my dad, I was taking my parents to somewhere the other day, and my dad's like, you know what, here it is mid-August. And he says, you're not even seeing a single swallow up on these power lines, because every August, all the young birds will gather and they practice flying around, and they're getting ready to head south again when fall hits. And here seriously, we live in central Minnesota, and there are no swallows this year. Absolutely none. We usually by this time see thousands. And now there are none. And it's like, so my dad's like, what's going on? I said, I don't know. I have my suspicions, but it's just interesting how the dynamics of everything has changed so much. And a lot of it is the toxins that we're being exposed to. It really is. But I will tell you, in addition to all these toxins, when I was fighting the pesticide issue, I mean, I'm not kidding. We had health meetings from the, state capitol. I spoke at the Capitol regularly. I was just Johnny on the spot. Oh gosh, yes. I mean, I was calling out congressmen, and I was pretty busy girl quite a few years ago. And then GMO started coming out, and the smarter I got, the more I realized that just get your family healthy, Sue, and learn how to clean them up, get them healthy, and take care of your own. Our members, I actually did before I completely forgot, because it's been over 20 years. But back when I learned about so many things that were really happening around our country, actually worldwide. It goes all the way to the United Nations type of thing. But anyway, when I was finding out all this stuff, it was so, I did a 3-part audio is on our members corner. Only the members can listen to it, because it's just, when we were in DC, I asked that guy that showed us around, what was his name? He gave us the tour around DC.
I don't remember his name.
Oh, he was such a nice man. But anyway, he's an attorney. And I says, do you want to write my story? He started laughing. He goes, I'm not that kind of attorney. And I started laughing. I says, I wish I could find someone to write my story because it's amazing. But anyway, so I learned how to fight toxins simply to get my family healthy again because of what we were personally being exposed to. And I met people from all over the country, good people and some not so good people. And when it came right down to it, I just started using homeopathic remedies to clean up my family's health.
So what were you guys exposed to? Like it seems like the garden variety stuff that we're all exposed to, or was it?
Yeah, but in a very, very intense way. And like I said, if you listen to Paula, if you listen to my, tell Joy to get you on there. If you're not, because there's some things you just can't talk about in public.
Really?
Oh yeah.
Okay.
So anyway,
you've given it to me before, and I just am always so busy, and it's terrible.
I know they're not that long. I really condensed the stories, but I did keep all my paperwork because it's really important. I know it is really important, and people, they poo-poo you and they just say, oh, that's not real. None of that stuff. Don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. But you know what? The illness that we're all experiencing nowadays is it's so permeating in every facet. When I was a kid, I was I had a shot when I was in 5th grade. None of my brothers and sisters had to have this particular shot. And it made me so ill that I had chronic strep throat the rest of my life. Okay. Up until I started using homeopathy, then I was able to clean up and I no longer got strep throat. But 30 years straight, I had strep throat. And I was so sick, but I was the only one. I don't even remember a brother had a migraine once when we moved. And I think it was probably the stress of moving. Other than that, I never remember any of my brothers and sisters being ill. My one brother ended up in the hospital after sniffing gas, of his own accord.
On purpose?
Yeah, he was 4 years old. Yep. And he climbed up on top of the tractor and he took the cap off and he was sniffing gas. And that's where my dad found him. So he was in the hospital. But other than that, just nobody was ever sick. And so nowadays, somebody's sick all the time. And you have a family of more than 2.3 people and somebody's always sick. It's ridiculous.
That's right. And it really is like it's weakening the family unit, and it's causing a lot of stress and a lot of divorce and a lot of different things like that because it's just so dang hard.
I know.
It's so hard. It's so hard.
It really is. And so if you know what to do, you can keep your family healthy.
Let's do it. What do you do?
The main remedy. And like I said, there is a podcast that we put out not too long ago, and it is on environmental toxins, and it's quite helpful. But Joy put together a little pamphlet that's basically very similar to what we put with our little kit. Because what happened is everybody's saying, okay, then we had the train derailment up in Ohio. And I have a son that lives up there. So normally I don't even look at the news, and I'm like freaking out. I called him and I said, honey, where do you live? I said, I want you to get these remedies and have them on hand and just start taking them. Because you don't know exactly what drifts. Because in my drift catching, I'll tell you that, and I said this in the podcast, but like I can remember one day I set up my little drift catcher and we're next to a potato farm. The airplane comes in to spray the potatoes. I can see the pilot, his mustache, his beard and mustache. I can see his face perfectly well. That's how close I was. All right. So I set up the drift catcher, and the next day I go back and change the tubes and everything else. There was a higher concentration of that same chemical in the drift catcher I set up 7 miles northwest than there was when I could see that pilot's face.
Really? Okay, wait. Can you tell me what a drift catcher is again? It might be the fever, but they're little tubes that you set up, and
it's a machine that it has a battery. It's and what it does is you have a tracker tube, but what it's doing is it's bringing in air every few minutes, every 2 to 3 minutes. It'll bring a little puff of air in so that some of the environmental toxins, for instance, whatever's in that air, it's going to compile it into that tube. It's just a little vial,
Where do you buy this? Like, is it on Amazon?
You don't buy it. I actually was trained in by PANA. It's Pesticide Awareness North America from California. They flew to Minnesota because I'm kind of loud and obnoxious. And at the state capitol, they're like, so they set up, these wonderful little health meetings. It was basically, I look back now and they were pacifying me, this loud, obnoxious mother that has sick children because we're being sprayed and exposed to this stuff 24/7. And so, yes, they were pacifying me. They had no intention of, doing anything about it. But let's just, let's have these meetings, these town meetings for her. Let's do all these things. Let's say we're talking about it here in the Capitol. Let's even draft a nice little amendment here to attach onto this bill. Let's pacify her. And that's exactly what they did. Yeah. So anyway, long story short, the bad guy that we were really after, I never had a successful test done on any of those air tubes, because every time they would say the tracker tube was cracked and it wasn't a viable sample, or the temperature within the package was too high, because they track the temperature. So it's not a viable sample. Every single time I had these guys in high winds, low winds, you could see it. The hummingbirds are ripping their nests out of the trees, you name it. I had them, and I had it on video when I'm taking with the drift catcher right there in the full view of them spraying. And oh my gosh. Anyway, like I said, not one test did they ever run.
Huh?
They never did.
So they just did that to pacify you. Oh, we'll try, and then it didn't work. And so you're saying when they sprayed that right there was less toxin than like actually what was dripping?
Well, that was one test. That was one test that I was able to actually, take. That was really a fun one, just to prove that you're not safe anywhere. They say that there's so much glyphosate in the air that even in the Bering Straits, even in the Bering Sea, you're going to have traces of glyphosate up there. And they don't ever use it up there. That's how much it drifts. If you're in this hemisphere, guess what? You're being exposed. It's just the way it is. But the point is I was trying to change the law. I was, and nope, it ain't going to happen.
Well, so. I can understand. I mean, we're looking at getting a larger homestead property. That's why we're temporarily in this RV. And when we were looking at it, it's like, oh, let's live, near these relatives or whatever. And I'm like, crop circles. And so if it's done by irrigation, it's a big deal, because if you got all the canals or whatever that anyways. And so I'm like, let's go 1 hour out, 2 hours out,
I know,
3 hours out. Yep. 4 hours away from family. They're all heartbroken, but I'm like, I can't bring myself to do it. But even then, it's just hard. It's hard.
I know. I remember I never thought about like just plain crop pesticides, because like I said, I'm aware of it, but I always know it was quite minimal. And then I had a friend that I taught a class down in Omaha. And so there was all these people came from all over the place in Omaha. And I says, oh my gosh, it's such a beautiful little community here. And I said, 2 minutes, you could be out of town. And she goes, oh yeah, but then all you have is the agricultural dust and pesticides, because everybody's sick all the time here. I go to Lubbock, Texas, and they say the same thing. Oh, you don't want to live here. All this, all the cotton, all the spraying that they do. It's so unregulated. And I'm like, it's so frustrating.
It is so frustrating. It is. Yeah. And that's what we did, is because we were looking for acreage, and if you're going to get acreage, you're in the middle of the farms. And I was like, I can't bring myself to do it. Right. So we kept further and further out for this property we were getting, but yeah. Yep.
It is hard. It's very, very hard. So the first thing you need to know, obviously all this, but we're talking to people that might just be becoming, familiar with homeopathy, but arsenicum. You can take, and I think I've talked about some of the samples of arsenicum, but arsenicum is so effective, so effective that I've actually had a gentleman call me, oh my gosh, Sue, my dog ate rat poison. And I don't even think you can buy this kind of rat poison anymore. It's called one bite. And it's literally so lethal that one bite will kill the rat, or in this case, send the dog foaming at the mouth and walking in circles. And so I said, I will bring over arsenicum. I said, give the dog activated charcoal. And I don't know how many of you are familiar with activated charcoal, but we use it a lot. There was a study done, and I know I talk about it on a couple of different podcasts, but some Russians did this, and sort of Kim Kalina, that's one of the things she taught us, from when we're doing detoxing, that any of our patients always give activated charcoal, because it so effectively pulls toxins from the body. And so anyway, but we were taught to just make sure you take the activated charcoal. Now, this is not a homeopathic remedy. It's a capsule, or you can take, or it's in powder, but you can take it 2 hours either side of food. And so, but some Russians, they did this test with families of rats. And so I don't know how many generations, I think 3 generations or whatever, they gave this one group of rats no charcoal, and they just gave them regular feed and water. The other group, they gave them the regular feed, and then they kept charcoal in their water all the time. So their water was basically black from this activated charcoal. And the rats, and so they would eat, you know how animals are, they eat and then they go drink. And so that was the routine. So the rats, after 3 generations, the consensus was that the rats that had activated charcoal in their water lived 40% longer than the rats who had none. And so the thing is with like even dog food and things like this, if you stop and think about it, you know, when they grind up all this dog food, this methane gas that builds up, and that's what's our dogs. That's why so many of our dogs have kidney disease today. It's because they're taking in all this methane gas from just the production of the dog food. And so it's like, I like to give my dogs raw eggs or whatever, but yeah, they eat dry dog food, you know? So I do give them activated charcoal on occasion, but the problem is when they lap it, you can't keep it in the house. I put it outside, but if they lap it in the house, it's going to splash the walls. And
so do you put activated charcoal in your water like regularly?
No, but I do try to remember to take it, you know, if there's any stress in my life, I take it daily. Really? Because simply because it helps.
Or a spoonful, like
just I take it in a capsule. I tell moms just, you know, you can either break the capsule and put it in your kids' yogurt or whatever, just to help with the system. And so like little kids who have bad breath or it's really smelly stools or whatever, think of activated charcoal because it helps to pull that methane gas right out of the body. Like I said, if you've got disrupted digestion or, you know, anything, and stress will do that very easily. Right. So, but arsenicum, along with a capsule of activated charcoal shoved down the throat, that dog within an hour, well, first of all, after I gave her the arsenicum, she threw up. So I gave her another dose, shoved the activated charcoal. See, that's a sign of purging. Yeah. I shoved the activated charcoal down her throat, gave her another dose of arsenicum, and I said, keep giving this about every 15 minutes. And within an hour and a half, I can't remember what it was, the dog was not walking in circles anymore, not foaming at the mouth, and did perfectly fine after that. That's how quickly.
I had something very similar happen with my dog. Same thing. We had gotten to a property. We were helping renovate it. There was a bunch of rat poison that they'd set out, and we thought we'd caught it all. But then one day he shows up and he's vomiting and just like trembling and just doing so bad. But he was vomiting.
Okay. So
I had purged a lot, but he wouldn't stop. So then I did Ipecac.
Right.
And that was like magic. And then I woke up at like 4 a.m. to check on him, and he was like sitting up and very hungry.
Wow.
I'm starving, feed me.
That's awesome. That's awesome.
Yeah, but that's really great. And how do you get a dog to take activated charcoal? Like,
well, I lived on a farm and we were always shoving like calves, baby calves, things like this. You'd have to give them capsules all the time. You just make sure you shove it down on the inside of the cheek and behind the last tooth so they can't bite you. So, and it's pretty easy. Yep. Okay. Yep. Because, and then you have to get it up and over that tongue. Otherwise they're just going to spit it right back out again. So it's quite, you know, but it's not hard and it's not scary. It's just, you shove it down. If you fail to
pass the tongue as far as you can.
Right. Yep. If you fail the first time, just do it again, but get a different pill because it's going to be sticky and then
delightful.
Yeah.
Okay. Very good. Okay. Well, that was great. And then Carbo Veg, which is kind of like activated charcoal.
It is, but oddly enough, it is activated charcoal into a homeopathic remedy. Okay. So, and Carbo Veg is, like I said, if I don't have a baby, you're not going to give a baby activated charcoal, but I've actually had children, the moms will complain to me, oh my gosh, I can't believe this kid's breath. It's awful. 10 months old, you know, or just an early toddler. And I'll say, you're right. Give activated charcoal. I always suggest it in a 30X because it's so effective and the bad breath will just disappear. And that's a sign of toxicity, you know, when that breath is emanating that odor. Excuse me. And then, but I have to, Carbo Veg also, again, whenever there's, we suspect toxicity, of course, you don't have to wait till the fingernails are blue or but that was a remedy that we used a lot during COVID, because people had very low oxygen And again, even after the symptoms were going away, the oxygen level stayed so low. And it wasn't until I understood that the reason the oxygen level stayed so low is because the lungs, for whatever reason, the hypothalamus had a problem with, going into that cytokine storm. And so the lungs were confused. They literally would fill up with carbon monoxide, and that kept the lung tissue from absorbing the oxygen. So again, I also gave activated charcoal at that time, but CarboVeg was absolutely amazing to get that function back again and clean out those lungs. And so it's excellent. I do give it alternating with arsenicum a lot because the two of them work so well hand in hand.
Awesome. Well, I want to learn about these next two remedies in a moment, but let me do the Bear Pack commercial real quick.
Awesome. Okay.
And and then we'll get back. So go ahead and turn off your camera.
Okay.
And
if
then
I can figure out how.
I did it for you. And then I'll bring her on in just 1 minute. I just want to review a few things for those of you who are just joining us. Let me see. Where is it? New. Hang on a second, guys. I need to find my spot. I was looking up stop or drift stuff. I was Googling it while you were talking, Sue. Okay, guys, we are here doing our pledge drive for fall 2023. Our theme is homeopathy reboot, nurturing health naturally from farm to Congress. And our goal is to reach $45,000 in donations. We're going to be talking a lot about what is going on in the state of homeopathy right now and what our fight has been. That's going to be on Thursday, but just know that your donations are so appreciated to help us keep this organization going and keep the work that we're doing going. Big shout out and thank you to all of our sponsors that I mentioned before, and also the Texas Society of Homeopathy and the National Center for Homeopathy. Guys, our raffle prize is going to be a lot of the remedies that she's talking about. She was talking about arsenicum, CarboVeg, and then a couple of the other remedies she's going to be discussing. We're also giving you guys some detoxing things like mineral salts and also an air purifier, our homeopathy remedy kit, and a t-shirt. So this is a really great prize that you guys, someone is going to be winning. And don't forget that our shop right now is on sale. You can use the coupon code REBOOT2023 to get any of our products at 10% off. And then we're featuring today our homeopathy kit that comes with an extra tin where you can pour out some of these vials into the little vials here. And then you kind of get a 2-for-1, 2 kits for 1. And it's just to be an emergency kit. So really excited about our lineup this week as well. But without further ado, I want to bring in our next Bear Pack person, and go ahead and introduce yourself to everyone, please, and say hello. I know you're kind of juggling a lot today. So at least that's what Michelle told me. There you are. Hi.
Hi.
How are you doing?
Okay. I'm actually sitting in the hospital room with a friend of mine. So
That's what I heard. Yes.
wasn't
Thank
planned. Here we are.
Thank you for taking the time to be here. So you are a Bear Pack member, right?
Yep.
That's so awesome. So for those of you who don't know, a member of the Bear Pack is someone who donates $25 or more a month to Americans for Homeopathy Choice, which is a huge blessing for us because then we know we can anticipate how those donations are coming. And it means a lot to us. So tell us a little bit about yourself. And
Okay. So I started using homeopathy when I was going through kidney failure. About 14 years ago, due to a congenital issue that I was born with, as I got older, my kidneys started failing. And in order to avoid dialysis for a while, I actually saw a practitioner who did herbs and homeopathy, and I started using combination remedies. And I know for a fact that helped me avoid dialysis for 9 months. And once I went on dialysis, because I was waiting for going through the process of kidney transplant, I stopped using it for a strange reason that I don't know why. Somebody recommended that I didn't need it during my dialysis time, and I wish I had, because I think I would have handled things better. But after my transplant, which thankfully my brother gave me his kidney, and now I'm doing great, and that was 12 years ago.
great.
And there was a lot of medications that the doctor says, you can't take this, you can't take that, you got to be careful, and you can't, And I was like, oh, well, what am I supposed to do then? So a friend of mine had listened to Joette Calabrese, and she and I decided to do one of her courses. And ever since then, I was using homeopathy, and I have not had any problems with using homeopathy and having a transplant. I find that I do so much better with using it, and my whole family does as well. So, and more recently, in the spring, my husband had a heart attack. And we left the hospital. And as we're driving home, we discussed all the medications they had him on, which he did not do well on. And as we're driving home, we said, okay, we're not taking that one. We're not going to take that one. No, we're not taking that one. There was like 9 medicines, and each one we went through and said, nope. And so by the time we got home, we both agreed we were using homeopathy and nutrition, and that was it. And he's been doing fine. His blood pressure is perfect. He hasn't had any further problems. He uses, he takes whatever I give him.
That was kind of a wake-up call for him. And
but anytime he's had any, pains or anything, we just get out the Simisafuga and away it goes.
well, Susan, that's wonderful. That's so great. I love it that you're blessing your family with homeopathy, and yourself, of course, and everyone. And it just is, it's really inspiring meeting moms like you and women like you who are doing this. So, what would you say to someone? What would you say to someone as far as what you would want them to, why you would encourage them to become a member of the Bear Pack?
Well, I'd say that we need to support this effort, because if we lose homeopathy, how will we stay alive?
That's right.
It is so important to have access to these medicines. I don't know where my family would be without them.
Yeah.
So,
and I also feel like if we live in a country where homeopathy is not allowed to survive, that's a symptom of so much more that is wrong. And I don't want to live in that country, so like, even if someone isn't a big supporter of homeopathy, like, it's a symptom of so much more. And yeah, this fight is so important. And I really feel like what we are, like, we need to be on the right side of history here. We need to be able to say that we did all that we could to protect. Yep. Yeah.
Yep.
Well,
Absolutely.
I know you're busy there at the hospital, so I don't want to keep you much longer, but thank you so much. Is there any last words you want to say to us before we go?
Just keep up the good fight.
Thank
Let's
you.
keep going. This done.
Awesome, Susan. Well, thank you so much. Well, feel free to stay in the Zoom meeting if you want, or you can go if you want. It's totally up to you. But thank you so much for taking the time and juggling your situation there at the hospital. So, all right, we'll see you later. Thank you. All right, so now I'm going to go ahead and bring Sue back on. Sue, go ahead and unmute and turn on your camera.
Oh, wow. She had a good story.
I love the Bear Pack interviews. They're always just so sweet and so happy. And I have to say, Sue, like, Americans for Homeopathy Choice is an organization. We have, we brought in like a consultant recently to kind of help us with some of our website stuff or whatever. And so he's had to talk to a lot of different parts of our organization. And he's like, I'm amazed at how friendly everyone is and how nice they are. Because I guess he's worked with, obviously other organizations, and he kind of changes some things and shakes things up. And he was like, I'm just amazed at like the wonderful people you have that surround this organization. We really are. It's a precious organization, like no drama. And it's just a wonderful group of people to be with. And we go through some hard, stressful stuff. Like, these white hairs aren't here for my children. I'll tell you that. So it's been really wonderful how homeopathy has been such a wonderful thing to gather around. And it's been great.
Well, they're happy people. And because the thing is they're happy because most of the time they're healthy. They have good, decent health because they're obviously aware of, their diets and the fact that you need to exercise. You can't cheat in life. You have to exercise. You have to eat healthy. You have to take care of yourself. And these are just natural little remedies that help you when you're in a stressful situation, or you did manage to get an illness,
Right.
or you got hurt. And I have to, agree with her when she said, I don't know where I'd be without homeopathy. And I'm the same way. Just like I said, go back 25 years ago when I'm fighting the fight that I was fighting. It's like, finally, I just threw my hands up and I said, you know what? I have to take care of my family. I am not going to win this fight. I have to take care of my family, get them cleaned up. And my passion for homeopathy was so great that I had to start sharing it with everyone, anyone that would listen to me.
And that's how homeopathy has gotten so big, is because sheer passion and love and appreciation. Yep. Because that's what we call it, the bear pack, is because to us, homeopathy represents our babies, like the mama bear, right? The mama bear taking care of her bear cubs, because without homeopathy, we can't do that job. And so we feel like protecting homeopathy is like protecting our children, because it's just one step away, from that. So
exactly. That's exactly right. And I could say, you're sick tonight because oddly enough, you have this whole week coming up and you've been preparing for it for so long. I can about imagine your stress load. And what does stress do to our immune system? It drops it down. And so I'm really sorry, Paula, but we all appreciate you so much. I don't care who you talk to, that if they know Paula, they're like, oh my gosh, isn't she such a wonderful young lady? And I'm like, yes. And it's not just her persona on Zoom or on Facebook or wherever. I don't do social media, but I know you're out there all the time. But I got to meet you in real life, and you were even sweeter in real life.
So, I will say that we have pretty much the pledge drive is run by Michelle. Like we've been able, so she was like, boy, the pledge drive is so stressful. It's nice that you're not stressed. I'm like, I'm not stressed because you're doing it. So we just have an amazing team, and all of us are just so lucky to get to know each other and be together. And that has been a huge source of joy in my life. I was teaching Sunday school yesterday, and I was talking about, how like when we're given something hard to do, like running an organization, for me, God, like, makes it so that you can do it. And to me, a big part of is people like you, people like Susan, that was just talking, Michelle, Kathy, Laura, like everybody that we're going to be talking to this week. And we're also different. We all have different, even political beliefs, but we have come around homeopathy because we know we want access to that. And that really isn't a partisan belief to have access to our medicine. So
absolutely.
Anyway, absolutely. Let's talk about these next remedies. We have Kali iodatum is the one. And guys, just so you know, we have this wonderful handout that Sue has prepared for us that we're going to be sending out to our email list. So make sure you're on our email list at homeopathychoice.org. Just become a free member and you'll be getting this handout.
Okay. Well, yeah, Kali iode is an amazing remedy. It's actually potassium iodide, and it's the remedy that's most recommended for persons who have been exposed to like radiation of some sort.
I was going to say Chernobyl, isn't that what?
Yes. Well, Chernobyl, but do you remember when, because right after the last time Japan had that nuclear disaster. Okay. So when that happened, I was actually at a seminar, and there was like 25 or 30 doctors from around the world. And it was a fantastic seminar, but we were discussing this because, just because it happened in Japan doesn't mean it's not going to, make its way around the globe. Right.
Exactly.
And so, yes. And so this is one of the two remedies that they talked about, the doctors there, and how you would give it, so it's just really, really interesting. But I tell folks that the thing is so many people are exposed to radiation, going into the hospital with their loved ones come out and they've had a PET scan or whatever. We have all these different reasons to be exposed to radiation. And, I just say, and the consensus is take it in a low potency, like a 12X, or I see you have it on there in a 30C, great potency. 30C Kali iode is it has an effect on the blood as well. Von Gravogel had talked about, he does he's the one that came up with the different hydrogenoid or oxygenoid or different blood types that were susceptible to different remedies in homeopathy. That in itself is another interesting study. But anyway, he said Kali iode to absorb all the ozone. So persons with excess oxygen in their blood. And so it's a really good remedy for that. But yes, as far as radiation toxicity, kali iode is excellent. And the funny thing about kali iode, it's one of my favorite remedies. When somebody says they have the hives, or moms will say, like, the child has this strange rash. It looks almost like hives on the skin. No suspected reason for it. I always suggest kali iode first. I think it was James Tyler Kent that said, said that any unexplained rash, or like hives, any unexplainable hives, just always go with kali iode first. And oddly enough, I've never seen it fail to get rid of the hives. Yeah. And that's when they don't know the origin or the source of the hives.
Like
a lot of people,
fish or whatever, right?
Right. So oddly enough, it does have a huge effect upon the blood of the body, which always likes to manifest itself upon the skin anyway. So.
Right. Okay. So have you seen, what kind of environmental toxins have you seen present these symptoms? Just any?
Well, for kali iode, I tell people that who are exposed to persons who like have had a PET scan, they're
So you're talking
X-ray.
X-rays and stuff. Okay.
Yep. Things where they've been exposed to anything that's, any kind of radiation. And oddly enough, go through an airport, you're exposed to a lot of different you're exposed to radiation in a lot of different ways. So, and if you have any sort of symptoms, any nausea, any fatigue, any rash, anything like that, you can take the remedy. And it's, and you don't even have to know for sure. But if you suspect, hey, I was just next to so-and-so, I know they've been in and out of the hospital, you can take the remedy, or give it to them too. If you find out that they've been having tests.
Being around someone who has had that X-ray, that could be a problem.
when they have a PET scan, and they drink everything so that all of their blood work, their cancer will light up.
Or whatever. Yeah. Uh-huh.
Yeah. I was talking to one gentleman too, and he says his doctor told him, he said, no, you be careful because you're pretty hot for a couple of days. And I'm like,
what?
Oh, well, actually, the thing is when they have this PET scan, whether they're really toxic to you or not with radiation, they have been exposed to radiation. So it's just a matter of, it's kind of like the last the jab that everybody was having, and a lot of the conversations that went on. I mean, it's kind of like the oral polio. Nobody really knows exactly how toxic somebody else is if they've had testing. Or remember the oral polio and all these other little kids that had never been vaccinated, and they would get symptoms, but it's no longer a live vaccine, but it used to be. And so little kids in daycare would, the diapers were alive, their sputum was alive. So nobody knows exactly what you're going to be exposed to in certain ways. So I say, just take the precautions. It's not even, like I said, if there's fatigue, if there's rash, if there's any kind of symptoms, don't hesitate to take the remedy.
Interesting. That's so helpful, because I would have only thought of it if I had the X-ray or whatever.
Yeah.
I wouldn't have thought. Now, I never go through the scanners at the airport. I mean, unless it's super late or something.
Right.
I'm always like, sorry, I want my airport massage. and I caused a scene at the last one too. I did. I was not in the mood. And this woman was so rude to me for asking for it.
Yep. I know. I get the same thing. And I just laugh at them. But that's one of the things I was talking about in the podcast too, is because I did go through I was in a hurry, and I was with someone that did not want to be embarrassed by me going through. And like I said, I really was in a hurry. So I didn't have, I said, just fine. I went through the X-ray thing, and they did a pat down anyway, because they said I had a suspicious shadow on my leg. I'm like, where's the suspicious shadow? I'd like to see it on the X-ray. No, they wouldn't show it to me. And they, I says, I would like to see exactly what is suspicious here. When they did the pat down, they found nothing. And it was like, what the heck? I said, but anyway, yeah, I know. I just tell them, pat me down too.
Yeah. Okay. So this next one is radium bromatum.
Okay. Radium bromatum is actually, that's high tech. That's if someone's going through chemo, or for persons who have been exposed, as well. And it is, it's for the ill effects of X-rays as well, but radiation burns. If you've ever known anyone who had radiation, I knew a gal who was going through her radiation treatments, and they burnt her so bad that she had to go in for and she was an older gal, that she had to go in and stay in the nursing home so that they could give her whirlpool baths, because the burns were so bad that they needed to be treated totally differently. And it was just awful. But yes, radium bromatum is very, very helpful for any kind of like radiation therapy, burns.
Wow. Yeah, that's hard.
Right.
And then, oh, okay. And then, so you talked about zeolites. Sorry, you talked about activated charcoal, but not zeolites. And
Right.
I take a zeolite pretty regularly. What do you think?
Do you?
About that? Yes.
Well, I think it's great. I think it's great. I just, because it's actually really, really gentle. And then it just pulls, it absorbs and it pulls, heavy metals from the system.
Yeah.
I actually take zeolite on occasion as well, but I have a mouthful of bad.
Stop. You don't have amalgams, do you?
When I was, that shot that I had when I was in 5th grade, that was in the fall going into 5th grade. By the next summer, they drilled out 12 of my teeth and filled them with mercury. Yeah.
So why haven't you had them removed?
Because, well, for one thing, money. I'm raising 11 kids. And by the time I had all this figured out, I was already getting pretty old. And I can honestly say that once they've been in your mouth for 40 years, you're not going to, they would have to literally pull my teeth. There's nothing left.
You would have to get,
right.
The implants or whatever.
Yep. Because the thing is it's like, I've actually had quite a few clients that even though they go to a biological dentist, depending on the situation, they have a lot of, they can have a lot of toxic problems later.
Yeah. So if you're like stable and fine.
Right.
Right.
Yeah. Stable and fine. Yeah.
Great.
Do I look stable, Paula?
Very stable. And so
I'm not doing too bad.
I was gonna say, I think you're doing good. And the zeolite, there's natural and synthetic. I prefer the natural kind.
Right.
Yep. So.
Right. And it really does, like I said, and we're exposed to so many heavy metals. I mean, like on a daily basis, we're exposed to heavy metals. People think, oh no, not me. But it's just like the different kinds of cancer, pardon?
Chocolate now they know that, especially the dark chocolate has like, I forget what kind, cadmium and something else. And it's just like.
That's not even fair. I know.
No, I about tried and I heard about that one. I'm like, leave me my chocolate.
Yep. I know.
Yeah.
Well, they say other countries are even more unregulated as far as, sprays, pesticide sprays and things like that, like coffee, you name it. It's all very toxic. Yeah. But I don't know. I just, you can't dwell on it. You just can't. You can just do it,
you have to do best. You have to source your food. You have to source your stuff. And then you just, and then I think you're right. Like the activated charcoal, I think that's great. I had never learned about it, taking it during stress. I do take, again, like zeolite regularly.
Right.
So I think that's really good. I actually need to take some today. I haven't, but just because I'm like, oh, this aching, like it's in my hips. Sue, it hurts so much. Anyways,
I'm so sorry.
Okay. And then you've listed other remedies like allium cepa, causticum, sulfur, calisol, or cantharis.
Okay.
Do you remember why?
Well, I'm just wondering, okay, let me look at that sheet. Okay, so some of these other ones, as far as like for other symptoms, no, that's fine. Allium cepa, because a lot of people, when they're exposed to toxins, they'll actually have allergy type symptoms. Yeah. And so it's important to understand those types of symptoms. Some people will actually, like sulfur, anything lands upon the skin, sulfur is excellent. Calisol for persons who, again, is really a huge skin remedy. And cantharis, any kind of burn, cantharis you can think of. But as causticum is actually for burns as well, but it's more for chemical burns. So, and I will say too, if someone swallows something, like if you have a child that swallows something, I know this is one of the things that I learned. when I was a kid, my dad was a huge farmer. We had 300 acres, but he rented 1,500. So he had a lot of crops. It was a crop farmer. Plus we raised hogs, but he raised his hogs naturally just too. So no lots, but anyway, I remember one time that the wheat drill was sitting out under the tree, and my brother Gary and I went in there, and it's like, oh, look, all this wheat, because we used to eat like grain, just whole grain, but this, we didn't stop to think about the fact that it was treated wheat that Dad was going to plant. So treated wheat has like a toxin on it to keep the bugs from gobbling it up while it's in the ground until it has a chance to germinate. So we're in there, we're just eating all this wheat and chewing it up because, that's just what kids do, right? So we happened to go in the house, and my mom's like, oh my goodness, what have you kids been into? And our mouths were all pink from the treated wheat.
Oh, no.
And of course, Mom brushes us into the bathroom, and she makes us throw up, and then she makes us drink milk. And
they do throw up. I love it.
I know. That's probably why I absolutely hate having the flu, because it was such a horrible time. My brother got it first. He had to throw up first, and then it was my turn. And it was so
Did
bad.
you put your finger down your throat?
Yep, she stuck her finger right down to gag reflex, and I don't know how she had the courage, because again, behind the teeth. And so, but anyway, sometimes if someone takes in a toxin, many times it's safe to throw up, but sometimes it's not. Sometimes just give milk to help neutralize, because if it's some sort of acid or something like that, you've got to be really careful. I always call poison control to say, hey, this was what we took, can we, and you can stick your finger down the throat. They used to give like syrup, Ipecac syrup, to make them throw up, which works very, very well, by the way. But always call poison control to see if it's something safe to throw up. Otherwise, if it is, make them throw up, and then give them milk and arsenicum and charcoal. If it's not safe to throw up, then just go ahead and give them milk to help neutralize whatever might be down there, and start giving arsenicum and activated charcoal. And, I would take them in, depending on, because kids can't talk and stuff like that. I remember when I had a kid, once upon a time, I was a very, very young mother, and I was sitting there visiting with someone, and here my son starts pulling on my shirt, and I'm like, honey, just wait. I'm talking, honey, just wait. And he wouldn't quit. And I looked down, and here he's not breathing, and he's got his mouth wide open. He's not breathing. I'm like, what the heck? And I bent down, and here I could smell rubbing alcohol. He had drank rubbing alcohol. Yeah, I kid you not. And so
that's so burning. Like, it's so like, you can't even sniff it. It's like, whoa.
I know. Anyway, he did. And so I rushed him in. This, like I said, I wasn't even using homeopathy at the time, but I rushed him in, and
they said they're not supposed to puke that up. Well,
I didn't think they would let me. I didn't know what they would do. But they did give him Ipecac and have him throw up. But I just thought that was kind of dangerous too. But the only reason rubbing alcohol is during Prohibition, they added a chemical to it to make it poisonous. Otherwise, it's just basically Everclear. You know what I'm saying? And so then, yeah. So it's kind of interesting. But anyway, but yes, always make sure.
Speaking of kids eating stuff, I would eat toothpaste when I was a kid, like a weirdo when I was in kindergarten, and I had the fluoridation marks on my teeth.
Oh my goodness.
For a long time. It wasn't until the past like 6-7 years that those kind of went away. I think it was a colostrum that I take, but
okay, there you go.
But I'm telling you, and is it like, I was thinking about like calc fluor, to just take that kind of, what do they call that, micro dosing to like remove it or drain it?
Okay. Yep. It strengthen the surfaces. Right.
Huh?
Yep. Exactly. Speaking of which, Joy wanted me to mention something.
Yeah, she just
did she text you? I can't remember what. Did she?
Yes, we're supposed. Let me blow my nose once.
Okay.
What she said is that we are going to give away one of your membership, because you have an online membership that people can get all these little secrets informations, like the one I was asking you earlier.
Like the three podcasts. My phone is actually dead, so she wasn't going to get a hold of me anyway.
Oh, that's funny. Well, yes. And so Michelle is looking through the chat right now, and we're going to pick someone who is attending this live, and you're going to get an annual membership. I think that's a full year, correct?
Right.
Is it? Okay. you're going to get a free annual membership to Sue's Corner. And the winner is Sarah Samo. I think that, I don't know if that's your last name, Sarah, but Sarah Samo, that's your Facebook profile. Message
Joy.
Okay. So how
But
do they,
you'll go info@homeopathyformommies.com.
thank you. That's what I needed to hear.
I don't really, that would be, you could get to Joy or Lori, but I don't know. I'm sure that'll get her where she needs to go.
Exactly. So that's perfect. So go ahead and email them and say, I'm Sarah Samo from Facebook. And I would love to get my prize because you deserve it. So it's info at homeopathyformommies.com. Okay.
Right.
So I'm going to share my screen so you can see that. And then if any of you guys are interested in becoming a member of Sue's Corner and what she does, is really a very active thing. I was talking to Joy about this just the other day, and you guys put a lot of hard work into it. So you can email her and you can become a member. And yeah.
Right.
So in closing, guys, I'm like petering out here. In closing, like slowly, like I keep any final thoughts, Sue, before we go?
Oh, just that I appreciate you so much. And I appreciate what you're doing because like you said, like Susan said, we have to keep fighting the good fight, because if we don't and we lose it, how are our children going to take care of themselves? It's just so important. And in this country, we've got a pretty good track record of losing our rights because we don't speak up. And it's not that we don't speak up, it's that we don't keep fighting. We have to keep fighting. We can't just like do one or two things or say, I did my duty, that's it, I'm done. I mean, it takes perseverance and fortitude to just keep pushing through to keep our rights. And, it is so important, so important. And there's so many fights. I know there are so many fights, but this one is extremely important.
It is. I think it's one of the most important ones because
I do too.
It has such an influence on so many other decisions. And anyways,
well, I think there's three great fights. There's homeopathy, there's the right to bear arms, and there's life. And we need to fight for those three. Everything else will take care of itself. If we just keep our right to keep, for our own health, our health freedom, our right to have these homeopathic remedies. And
I feel like if what our goal is at Homeopathy Choice is to make it as easy as possible for you guys to join us in this fight, because we don't want to, it's hard to start and organize and do it all. So
you guys have already done that.
Right. We opened our bear pack. Our bear pack is always open. We open up our homeopathy action team enrollment right now. You can go to, let's share my screen and I will show you guys exactly where you go. You go to homeopathychoice.org. Whoops. Okay. I'm struggling. Okay. You go to homeopathychoice.org/hat, homeopathychoice.org/hat. And that is actually our grassroots team, the Homeopathy Choice Action Team. And you can become a member of our grassroots team there. And again, we've literally thought of everything. There's a state captain, then you become a district lead. We give you all the talking points. And a lot of people are like, oh, I'm not good at sales, not good at convincing people. I'm like, I know that's kind of how the world wants us to think what advocacy is like trying to convince someone and talking strong to them. It's not, it's just sharing your story and it's just being authentic and yourself. And that's what matters. So.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Okay. Well, thank you so much.
You're very welcome, Paula. I'm honored to be on here with you. I just any occasion to be on chatting with Paula, I'm happy to do it.
It is so fun. Well, we had 60 people on Facebook, 30 on YouTube. We even had 10 on Twitter. So great turnout, guys. Share this with your friends. I'll be back tomorrow. Tomorrow, I'm going to be, you go ahead and turn off your camera, Sue. Thank you. And you can go.
Thank you. You take care of yourself. Get better.
Thank you. Okay, so let me start at the beginning here and let you guys know that our goal for this pledge drive is 45,000. We're at 5,500 right now, entering into the pledge drive. Everyone who donates now, moving forward, can enter in our raffle prize. Big shout out and thank you to Miranda Castro, who I'm actually interviewing tomorrow, so that'll be fun. Homeopathy Center of Houston, National Center for Homeopathy, Karen Allen, American Academy of Clinical Homeopathy, Texas Society of Homeopaths, Council for Homeopathic Certification, Florida Homeopathic Society, International Academy of Classical Homeopathy, and so many more people who support us. Thank you to Texas Society of Homeopathy. We love you. And the NCH, National Center for Homeopathy. This is a raffle prize, which we'll announce tomorrow. $129 in value. All these remedies, the Epsom salts, the air purifier, remedy kit t-shirt. And then don't forget to visit our shop. There's some really great homeopathy fashion there. And you can get our coupon code Reboot 2023. And our featured item for today is this homeopathy kit. It comes with the remedies and an extra tin. So tomorrow we're going to be talking to Miranda Castro. Very excited about that. We're going to be talking about rebooting your dental health, which is a big hot button topic. And yeah, and again, if you're Sarah Samo, email them at homeopathyformommies.com info app. And then guys, consider joining our homeopathy action team. Registration is open. All right, y'all, I am pooped because I am sick with a fever. And I'm going to sign off, and hopefully tomorrow I'm feeling a lot better. All right, y'all, have a good rest of your day. Have a good evening. Bye.